3 years. So I'm sort of stubborn that way, and I'd rather just force myself to learn even if something is bullshit. Hi Brooke, welcome to the stream. How are you feeling today?
Hola, pretty good. How are you?
Doing quite good myself. We had a lovely bit in between, and this is the second time you've been on the channel. How have you been doing?
Good, good. I've ranked up a bit. Actually, I ranked up a bit, went down a little bit, sort of stayed around high plat for a little while, but now I'm back into diamond again, which I'm happy.
Ooh, congratulations.
Oh,
Sounds...
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So like, just as a quick refresher, what was our last VOD, and what do you remember working on?
Last VOD was actually more me playing Moira. And because the main focus of Moira was I wanted to learn how to obviously utilize her heal a bit more rather than just running out too quickly and all that. So we touched on that. You highlighted a few good points with that. Positioning, you mentioned that pretty much how I position as Mercy should essentially be the same as just incorporate that into how I position Moira.
Because it was really good.
Yeah. So even just those few things that I then took into the next couple of games, and it made such a huge difference, especially with Moira in particular. So since then I have been playing a lot more Moira. I haven't been playing Mercy as much. I kind of did actually want to move away from her a little bit.
Totally fair.
Yeah, so more Moira Ana. Because Ana was pretty much probably my weakest support.
Sure.
But the support that I actually had the most interest in improving in quite substantially. So I've been trying to play her a lot more as well. So this VOD that I gave you is with Ana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good. Okay, so quite a different hero. So let's, as like the first bits like play themselves out, why don't you tell me a little bit about this ranked game in particular and what you think may or may not be like somewhat relevant, considering you played other support heroes. And I like personally to sort of tie any concept you learn in one that actually flows into the other, so it makes you learn the game way faster. So like, what do you know of Ana, and what was special about this VOD? Why are you giving me this VOD today?
Well, I actually went into it not realizing, this is this is my first game of the night, right? So I jumped on, signed in, didn't warm up, didn't go into the training, nothing. I was just determined to get you.
Okay.
And
thank you.
And Ana VOD. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And I load into the game and I see that I'm the only diamond on my team. And I was like, excuse me? So everyone else was masters. Mind you, the other team did have 2 diamonds.
Okay.
But anyway, just first instance, I was like, oh no, okay. So I will be honest, I was nervous. I know that probably sounds silly to some people, but like, I just knew that probably the pace of the game and all of that was just going to be probably pretty different.
Right.
And obviously on Ana, I'm still kind of practicing on. I'm not completely confident on her.
Sure.
So anyway, I thought, okay, whatever, that's okay. So I wanted to send this one to you because not only obviously was it in a little bit of a different rank and I was challenged more. I felt like I was challenged more than what I usually am.
Right.
And to give it away, spoiler alert, we did lose. And again, I kind of did want to send you a game that I'd lost. Because at the end of this game in particular, I thought to myself, I think I didn't do too bad. Okay. Not in particularly defense, offense more. So obviously we'll get to that.
Sure.
But I thought, well, that's actually probably a good chance for you to have a look at it and go, well, you may have thought that, but however, you could have done this differently. I just feel like this was a game that I definitely probably could be told what I could have done differently, because I went away from this game thinking I felt like the heal component of this match was okay.
That's fair. Honestly, I'd say that's a very humble assessment, really. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, let's talk about nerfs first, like just for a minute, because like that first fight, there's quite a lot to go into, but it's a bit difficult to go into right this second. So nerves and all that, like that's honestly speaking, very natural. Yep, like I've even I myself, we've all had those games. Like I played against Choi Yubin of the San Francisco Shock by playing in the Korean servers. Yeah, I was also like going, I don't know how this is gonna work. And like shortly after, I realized that all my I didn't have any abilities for that entire game. Choi Yubin is very hungry. He likes to eat things, apparently. You don't want to find yourself in a game with Exception and fellow like that. So like, all good. So yeah, it happens to everyone. So, but back onto you. So let's talk about Ana. Let's talk about Ana. What do you know of Ana for the minute? What makes her awesome? And what do you feel the most comfortable about playing her?
Okay, so obviously after someone who's played Mercy for quite a while, and again, this could be not technically the correct answer, this is just how I feel personally when I played both.
Which is fine.
I feel like I have more of an impact in the game playing Ana. I also feel like I can sustain myself better as Ana than Mercy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel maybe because I know that I've got maybe the nade as an option and sleep as an option. I understand like Mercy, you can fly away, and I guess you can get out a pistol if you really need to. But just I don't know. I feel like I can sort of sustain myself better on her, and I feel like I just get more value in a game if I play half decent on Ana than look, Sakisa, I've had games where I've played so well on Mercy.
Okay.
You know what? Heals have just been through the roof. I don't die. I'm like, I focus the right people. Damage boost, damage boost when you don't need heals, and we get absolutely steamrolled and we lose. And I'm like, okay, F this, F that. Just saying.
Okay. No, totally fair. Just for the record, let me tell you, your impression is actually correct. Okay? And let me go on. Let's actually go into why. Okay. So like Ana, what you first of all, what you're saying, like being able to survive, yeah, and that's part of the kit making you more independent, because nade is obviously something actually used for yourself on occasion, which is perfectly fine. And you're right that we're in which, because Mercy is sort of like, she can add ridiculous amounts of value for sure, period. But the amount of value she adds is still, at the end of the day, dependent on what the team pulls with her at the same time. It's more of like a symbiotic relationship that way. Ana has a more direct impact of what goes on, and she, in like, even as early as seasons like 1 to 5, it was actually the hero of choice for certain players who were boosting. That's just how impactful she is. What you experience right now, being more involved, getting the gratification for what you do, that's very normal. Okay?
Yeah.
So like, don't doubt yourself on your impression. It was fine.
Okay.
So we're gonna like look at the initial bits again, and not the first life, because the first life sort of everyone's out of position. You sort of walked out of a spawn rather late. I don't think it's very fair to assess you in that one. Okay.
Yeah, it snowballed really quickly.
Yeah, it would do.
Just at the start of that game, yeah.
Well, a Grave Wood member, make May a tank, remove freeze, and make 100% reliant on the wall. No, I'm not gonna comment on that one. We don't need to make May a tank. Trust me, you don't want May as a tank. Trust me, you don't. So, but yeah, I see the relation though, because May's role is almost similar to off tank in that sense. So Ana, right now, Ana is very interesting because unlike the other heroes that you've played before, she is no longer chained to a very small effective range. Yep. Like, it's no longer about this, because whether you played Mercy or Moira, that was sort of your area of effect, what you were chained to at the end of the day. Yep. So what we're going to be learning today is about line of sight, which I've talked about in my other VODs, but we're going to do it a little more relevant to you. Okay?
Yeah.
So, line of sight. We're going to talk about what we want to see on the map. Yep. And as Ana, there are only 2 main important things you need to see. Why don't you give it a go? What do you? What's the most important 2 different things you need to be able to see on the map as Ana for you to do your job?
Teammate and enemy.
There we go. Brilliant. So, in other words, wherever we are standing, we want these unfortunate. There's an old woman. She's got 1 eye left. We better prioritize the vision. Okay. How are we gonna do that? We need to be able to see her team. We need to be able to see the opponent. So optimally, obviously, we want to see both at the same time. So now with that in mind, let's assume that we just jump this a little bit further. Preferably after we get the point. Or you know what? No. Let's just use this like right now. Let's use this spot right here. If we only could move the camera a little bit faster. But looking at this now from top down, you want to see your team and you want to see the opponent, right? So I'm going to put out some positions that you could possibly be in. So A, which is earlier, B, C, D, right? And oh, I'm not quite sure why I got rid of that, my bad. But anyway, point being, these, for the record, these positions, they've been done even by players way at different ranks. So like even by like higher SR players. And I would like you to tell me each of these, what's good and what's bad about them. And then you'll go ahead and make a judgment which one you'd prefer. Okay?
Oh my god.
That's okay. Don't worry, we're going through this together. So because like we're pulling out what you know, because you actually know the answer to this.
I do?
You do, because you've already done it before. You've done it as Moira. Moira more than Mercy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're starting to get some gears turning. I can hear that. So we remember, part 1, we want to see our team. Yeah. Part 2, we want to see the opponent. So A, what can we see from A? So I'm talking about that staircase edge there.
Okay, at that point I can't see anyone. Oh, well, like I can see a few, like over at Mercy. Like I can't remember who else was there. I think I could see Mercy, but from memory, I think that's all I could see. Okay,
that's fair.
I think.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah. So like in this position, if for some reason you only ever wanted to heal the Mercy, you can. So that's good. If you want to be involved in the fight, it's very difficult, right? Yeah. But if you needed to be safe, let's say you're like low health and you can't, and you have no nade, then for the moment, that's probably one of the safest things you could do, and it wouldn't be a bad idea. Yep. So A is actually a correct answer, right? But now we're gonna look at B. So what's different about B in comparison, though? So like B, we're assuming that we have access to both of these windows.
Yeah, I was just about to say B's sort of like giving you both options. You can peek out and see the enemy, and then you can also see teammates as well. So you can and this is where obviously you could probably stay safe and scope in and try and obviously get a few shots on people. But this is the bit that I don't like with this map, okay?
Sure, tell me about it.
So yes, that is a safe spot, and you go, well, why don't you stand there? Because you can heal, you don't get damage, it's like win-win. But then you get your team going, quick, fall down, go down, don't let them contest.
Yes.
And so you're like, so you're trying to stay alive, not take damage, heal, and try and contest all at the same time?
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So like, we also talked about this as well before in the other VOD, and how we probably won't listen to strangers on the street telling us how to live our lives. Right?
True. I do remember you said that.
Yeah. Now, and like, you will receive a lot of quote unquote advice in ranked, you know? And as we discovered from our last VOD, something like heal me is probably not very succinct or good advice, and yet a lot of us are unfortunately traumatized, and we take this as life advice for playing Overwatch from now on. That didn't work very well before. We're gonna make sure we keep that. But that aside, you're telling me, in other words, in your heart, in your soul, this is actually a pretty good place to be.
Yes.
So once again, as you're probably starting to realize the pattern here, this is also a right answer. Okay? So C, so let's say you dropped. And you're at C now. So what's different about C in comparison to the others?
My initial reaction was like, no, I don't like it. It's like a danger flag. But then it's like maybe 50-50, depend on how things are going with my team. It's almost like a risky jump. It's like you jump down, you could maybe use...
Old black bear.
Is that Hog down there? You could maybe use Hog as a little bodyguard, heal him up, see if pray to God he might do something, maybe even use the stairs, the building as cover.
But let's think about your abilities. Let's think about your abilities and about the direction. What do you think of that now that you've dropped?
I mean, you can back out down the bottom there, in the back there, if things don't look good. So you can drop down, but like, I still feel like it's a risky move, and it's a risky move though that I do all the time because
Right.
I still have that voice in my head that you should be at least trying to contest, and if you don't, you're an idiot.
Okay, so why do we not make the old woman who has all the medical supplies contest?
Because I just feel like I'll go down and get absolutely destroyed before I even get to contest.
Yeah, that's totally fair, right? Like, and in the worst case scenario, if you are supposed to be doing that, that's going to be when everyone else is gone, right? Like this is why I'm saying, like, as a support, especially as Ana, you should be the old woman always getting the last laugh because you get to watch everyone die first. Yeah, like enjoy that for what it is, because you're gonna have to play against people who will complain. That is the nature of the game. That being said, there are advantages of being here. So we're going to talk about nades and off angles, right? And then you see what we're getting at. If you ended up in a situation here, risky as it is, that doesn't mean that there's no hope. If we want this fight to suddenly sway in your favor, specifically because of your playmaking potential, a nade playing into double shield is quite difficult from top down. I'm sure that you were like realizing, wait, if it's actually, you could nail it, like thread the needle and all that sort of thing, and it would be difficult but possible. But if you did drop and worth trying to be a more risky type of player, which I'm perfectly fine with, as you know, I don't encourage only one way of playing the game, is that there is an opening. If a drop was done safely, because they're all quite busy staring at this next version of Thanos on his way down, you can nail maybe a nade on multiple people, or even a sleep dart, and they'll thank you for it. Or not, and you can just get SR and you'll be out of their range eventually anyway, it'll be fine. But note that there are other options, even when you put yourself in a riskier position. Because if you get there, let's say that you couldn't change your mind in time and you panicked, you did drop, right?
Yeah.
If that happens, you need to have options. Try to make something happen with your ability, with your kit.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if I believe I said D, which is...
I remember where D was,
Yeah, which is down at the center.
Yeah.
That can... You first?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I was like, there is no way in hell you'd be finding me at D. But then when you said if you dropped down and made a riskier move and you could kind of nade people, then you're almost at D at that point anyway, and then you have somewhat more of a chance to contest then.
Exactly.
See, my initial answer was there was no way in hell I'd go D. But then C kind of leads you to D.
Correct. And that's what we're trying to lead you to. We're leading you towards like as many options as possible. Yep. And if like I said, you're Ana, you're the support, you watch everyone die, you laugh at them for being silly, right? And then they can't actually complain about you. By the way, right, this actually does lead to how you get more better respect and ranked as well, because if you will have done what they asked you to do, you would have contested, right? But at the end, where you not only keep these silly people alive for a lot longer, but you get to watch them suffer for longer. They're doing the objective, and two, you would have still done technically what they asked you to, right? Which is contest at the end, and you wouldn't be staggered, would you?
True, very true. Yep.
Best of both worlds. Let's keep going. Wait a minute, that is the wrong POV, and that is way too fast even for me to analyze. So you see, like, when we talk about line of sight now and what you're able to see, you see how technically being in this corridor, while it seems safe, it also limits your options, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have access to those two things in your line of sight, nothing else you do is going to matter.
So, like, you can literally see the panic. Like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little hint. I'm gonna give you a quick hint about sleep dart, right? Like in general. Vast majority of the people that run in Overwatch and have feet, unlike Zenyatta, when they strafe, like from left to right, the leg hitbox is usually lagging behind. Okay? So not two things about that. One, the legs have a bit larger hitbox, and two, technically speaking, even if like your reaction time isn't like the craziest on the planet, which it doesn't need to be to play this game realistically, is that if you aim at feet and you didn't predict the strafe in time, you're likely to still catch them. So if you're aiming sleep darts, you actually want to aim towards the feet rather than the center of the body.
Okay. Alright, cool. That's good to know.
Do you happen to know... Well, no, I think we can get a combo like later on in the game, because that's not so important right now. There's also like a point in which... I'm gonna have to see the next fight and see whether I read that habit wrong first. Oof, very, very crazy fight.
Yeah.
Ah. Need a longer fight for me to see if that's a habit, but so far you're like, oh, that looked crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll notice this either, and I have done it with every game I've played. I'm aware of it, but obviously not enough to stop. And you just watch, right? It's something as soon as you notice. It'll probably prove me wrong, and I won't do it much in this game. I reload way too much. Like I will shoot 3 bullets and I'll reload, and I'll do it, and I'm like, you didn't need to reload. You honestly didn't need to do that. But it's like it's such a habit. It's like coded into me almost.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't even noticed if I've done it much in this game. I just thought of it then. That's all.
I don't think, at least in that fight, that reloading was that big of a habit. And as you said, maybe you sort of half jinx yourself there, but that's okay, right? Like you're trying to be. The end of the day, the only reason you brought that up is because you're trying to look for self-improvement. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So, first things first. Like, in general, a vast majority of your shots, like you don't have this much of an issue compared to a lot of Anas that I've seen first starting out, which I'm pretty happy with. And that habit is scoping unnecessarily. Okay, so you do have, considering that you literally just picked up the hero, you have a nice somewhat of a balance between trying to go for like unscoped shots versus actually hard scoping unnecessarily, which is good.
Okay.
Because scoping is not only slower, but it also technically shows your position, right? That's the first thing. And the next thing is that it will, because it's slower per shot, it reduces your overall healing output, as well as limits your vision, which we talked about as Ana. It's really, really important to give her vision with her only poor one eye left. So, looking at this now, there's like some mathematical formula that some amazing, crazy, like even more insane than me person did on Reddit, that he figured out the exact distance in which a projectile from Ana's gun is the exact same speed in terms of healing someone as even if you scoped in, because scoped in is technically faster, right? Because it's the hit scan versus the projectile. But that dude approximated it to somewhere around 21-ish meters, I believe. Right. Like I'm honestly, I'm probably wrong about that number, but probably worth checking out on Reddit. I remember it was like not that close to you, regardless.
Okay. Yeah.
So like, go find that. I'll link it to you. So,
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Until someone
complimented by my team on that sleep, by the way.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. You got the big Doom, and he was nanoed as well, which is awesome.
And they woke him.
That's a side effect of playing ranked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Did you have sleep? No, you didn't. I wouldn't really blame you for having that issue. I could talk to you a little bit about like strafe patterns, but I think it's not that important just yet.
Okay. Oh, I think I got res and then automatically there was so much.
Yeah, like a lot going on here.
Yeah, in the middle of the res. Like, it's crazy she got it off, but yeah.
Okay, so we talked about sleep a little bit, and we'll go more depth into it again, but let's also talk more about nades when a team fight breaks out in a moment where you don't have to use it on yourself. Probably get one upcoming.
Was that bad positioning by me too, by the way? I started to step back. I think I was stepping back because I could see the Doom and I was trying to get away from him. But then it kind of didn't work in my favor because as I was doing that, he just turned around and I was by myself in the back.
I think it was an amazing positioning, but this third point will give you a better chance to actually consider better positioning, because the second... Here's the thing about like maps in Overwatch, right? Especially payload maps. Usually if you roll through first point, Streets phase is something that not a lot of players are really good at, and like it tends to snowball a lot because of the staggers. So you usually only get like a better chance on like the third point. So now let's talk about positioning, right? Like now that you've had a chance to sort of attempt to stabilize, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. You're backing up. You're trying to get heals onto this one person, and everyone's really panicky at this point. Yeah. But now let's once again try. Assume you could stop time, like how it looks like right now, and stand somewhere else. And we know that the core of your opponent's here, and most of your team is here. Where would you like to stand? Well, heals first, and then we'll talk about abilities.
I mean, I would like to stand more to her, like more to my left, but then I felt
like here?
Like, is that putting me more in a... Like, I would go left so I could obviously maybe help them out with breaking shield, and if I get a few... Because see how they're like poking out in front of shield a little bit?
Yeah.
So I don't know, if I wanted to do just a little bit extra, I'd say left, but then is that also then giving them more line of sight on me?
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let's like keep the question simple. So it's all about being able to see your opponent and your team and being in best position for you. So this was your example, right? So this is an okay example because it gives you hard cover, and it also lets you see your team and lets you see the opposing team, right?
Yeah.
Now, it would include heals as well, but let's make it simpler. We're gonna talk about your abilities. How do your abilities work? Nade. So what is the best possible beautiful nade you can get? Like what would happen? Right? Who would it hit?
Okay. This is why I need coaching, because if you were to ask me that, I'd go, I don't think I could get a good nade off that.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. No, if I threw it kind of on the leftish side.
Don't worry, I'm not talking about where, because that's like really I would be asking too much of you. You're right. Yeah, but what was the best thing that could happen if you used a so-called perfect nade? And then the hint I'm drawn on the screen is talked about your vision as well. So your vision was best when you had what was in your vision? You could see your team, and you could see the opposing team at the same time. So the really good nade is something that heals your team, but also nades the opponent's teams. And why is that? We talked about purple before. Are you aware what purple does to the opponent by chance?
They take more damage.
They do not actually take more damage. That is okay. No, that's good. I'm glad we got to this point. So what happens when someone is naded is they actually are unable to receive any healing whatsoever until the purple is gone.
So they don't take more damage?
No, they do not. So that's Discord. Okay? So Zenyatta Discord makes people take more damage. Sorry for randomly joining your voice. No, that's totally fine. And thank you for the follow, TTV Noble and Zephyros as well. Thank you very much. But yes, so that's why it's called an anti-nade. Yeah? So some people call it purple, some people call it anti, some people call it nade. But the point is that when that happens, the opponent is unable to receive any form of healing whatsoever, right? And that's really amazing. So let's say, I'm glad, this is why I like get to this point, so we know what's in your knowledge and what isn't. So let's say there's two Ryans fighting side by side, which will not happen for this week because Ryan's banned. But let's just imagine it for a moment. So let's imagine Smurf Brad here, okay, being a Chad, okay, and this other person attempting to be as fabulous as him and failing miserably because you're here. Yeah, and you're gonna throw a nade. Okay? And what's gonna happen is Smurf Brad is gonna be yellow, right? He's gonna have that yellow outline, which means if any healing he receives while he's naded is gonna go up. He's gonna receive more healing than normal. Okay? So that sounds pretty good, right? So like someone that was originally gonna receive 100 might even receive as much as 200 from the same like shot. So he's gonna receive a lot of healing. This person is going to receive no healing at all. So even if like they're about the same health at the end of the day, well, up until the purple is gone, until the anti is gone, if Smurf Brad is smart and swings into this guy, he will straight up die no matter what he does, because he has no healing for that period of time. Okay? So nade is really good. So now that we know that nade is really awesome at not only healing, but it stops your opponent from taking heals. So it also, think about it. If you could not receive any heals whatsoever for a period of time, what was the first thing you'd start doing?
Nade myself?
You could nade yourself, but it wouldn't work, you see, because you can't receive healing.
Oh, if I was naded.
If you were naded.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I thought you
That's
meant
okay. That's okay.
just taking damage in general. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. Sure. So like, if you were naded as any hero, what's the first thing like reactionarily that you're gonna try and do?
The first reaction is just to like fall back or try and get.
Yeah.
Like wait for it to wear off. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So there you go. Like, good concepts, right? And I didn't tell you that. So good stuff. Brilliant. Now, that means that every time you get nades on your opponent, not only is there a chance to, assuming that you get a really, really good nade and like a fight breaks out, but even if it doesn't, you're going to change the behavior, yes? So it's actually really important as Ana for you to hit nades and be in a position to hit those nades. So when you were here, you could get heals on your team and not that much onto your opponent. You're saying that you can because they're poking their heads out and they're not very smart about that, yeah? So let's just say that they were not doing that, and this is actually a good shield, okay? And your heals wouldn't go for either. Where would you rather stand? Like I said, time stopped, you can be anywhere on the map right now. Where would you rather be?
I don't know.
That's okay. So
far away.
Far away? Yeah, far away. Fine. That's fair enough. So like if we looked at the nade as what it is, which is sort of you could have with those Junkrat nades, and they're really annoying because they come from like nowhere and they hurt you a lot. We could try to get high ground, and that's sort of generic advice, but I'm gonna explain why specifically it's kind of good. Okay? So high ground is okay, I guess, but the reason being why it's very advantageous to you is because a nade is way more likely to actually hit something because of the angle. Yeah? You can go over the shield, you can nade multiple people, because as you know, shield's there, a lot of people are going to stand there. Purple, like 3 or 4 people. Yeah? And even if it doesn't like cause you guys to win a team fight all of a sudden because they're playing at a distance, yeah? Think about it. If you were to heal someone, you get some ult charge. If you were to hurt someone, you get some ult charge. If you hurt 4 or 5 people at once with the damage that nade does, right, and you had that off cooldown, which is not something you should have off of cooldown, but let's say that you could afford it, right? How fast would you get ultimate?
No idea.
You get it really, really quickly. It's almost as if like if you could shoot, if every time you shot someone you built some ult charge, but instead of shooting one person, you shot 5 people at the same time every time you clicked on it. Okay. That would be pretty amazing, right? So you build a lot of ult charge. Let's just put it at that.
Okay.
So you want to stand in a position that not only gives you a chance for nades, but also when you're at these angles, funnily enough, because of the way shields work and they're stationary, your sleeps can get in as well, right? You also have the ability to heal your team because technically they're still in vision. And you probably wouldn't stand out as far as here because it's kind of dangerous, right? But the point is that as long as you can see, and you can be riskier depending on how fancy you want to play, but as long as you can see both your team and your opponent, not only can you heal them, you can also get your nades and sleeps out on your opponent. But more important than that is that when your team looks at who to kill, they will go, there's an Ana up there, and there's a team up there. I gotta choose. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that not only makes them waste time choosing, but we already know how well ranked goes when you tell them to shoot at one thing. I can't imagine why. They're very bad at it. So imagine if a bunch of these teammates say, wait, the auto is free, and they're all going to start calling this, and then people are going to shoot in front, people are going to shoot at you, and no one's really going to get anything done. You get value just from that, from forcing your opponent to make decisions.
Got you.
So you see, like in this example, you only didn't know this before. You're trying to heal this guy. His HP is not going up, right? Yeah, I didn't know that. And that's why the icon's that way. So the icon is that plus with an X on it. That's what it is.
I thought it just slowed it down. I thought they still took heals, but it just like slowed it and makes it harder for you.
Yeah. No, that's okay. There's a lot of stuff in the game that even I don't know. It took me up until season 13 to realize that when you Dragon Blade, did you know that actually makes you run faster as Genji?
No.
You think that doesn't take place unless you have Lucio, right? But apparently, when you use Dragon Blade as Genji, you actually run faster than normal, and I had no idea. It took me like 12, 13 seasons to learn that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone learns stuff.
Yeah.
CS:GO Nate? Yes, Bawang. Anyone who's like got experience with angling nades, kind of will be able to figure that out here, but they don't bounce, obviously. But yes, it's a good example. Nice sleep.
Thanks. It's just unfortunate the times I did sleep. I think we were just like in so much trouble already.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Nano. What do you know about Nano?
Oh.
That's okay. Don't okay.
I don't know like the stats. That's the problem.
And
like,
don't worry, that's not what I'm asking for. You know the truth is I don't know the stats either. I don't know the stats either. Okay. Don't worry. It's not a pop quiz. We're just like going through stuff together. Okay.
To be honest, I'm just gonna do the dumbest answer of like my version of knowing it. Nano just makes them like juicier, stronger. That's all I know. Okay,
that's fair enough. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Okay. So Nano heals them by a decent amount, right? Like 200, 300-ish. See, like I don't know the stats either. Yeah, like 200, 300-ish, a lot of health. But it also makes them take less damage, and they do more damage. Okay. Now, in terms of that's okay. That's good. So we're covering stuff. Otherwise, why would you need me? So we're covering that, and that's kind of why there are like combos like Dragon Blade, which I actually really don't like personally, and people use that too much. But it has a property that's very similar to another ultimate of a hero that you play very often, and that's Moira. See, Nano can make a lot of DPS players very happy, and you don't want to just do that. You want to actually get out of that rank so you don't have to see that person ever again. But but the other part of it is that when used late or halfway through a fight, it makes something last way longer. So like Coalescence, if you use it later rather than starting off the fight with it, it makes an engagement last longer. And Nano has that property as well. So Nano doesn't always have to be to sort of to start a fight. It can be used halfway to turn a fight. And it works out really well on occasion, because if, like we talk about Coalescence, if your opponent uses a bunch of cooldowns, a bunch of ultimates, and they think, okay, this guy's about to die, like the main tank, for example, and we go, this is great, and then suddenly the Nano comes in, they're like, wait a minute, I got nothing left. Right?
Yep.
That's a good way of doing it. And for the reasons that we discussed earlier about nade giving you more healing, if you nade someone before nanoing them, they will get more heal when they get nanoed.
Okay, that's kind of like with Moira, where like you throw out an orb and then Coalescence almost.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you're doubling it up. Yeah.
Exactly. Good stuff. And that's like a good connection they're making. I'm really happy with that. So Black Bear has come up with the exact stats that even I don't know. Awesome. 50% damage boost, 50% damage resistance, a range of 40 meters, and 250 healing on use. Yep, I got that wrong. So I said it was either 200 or 300. It's 250, right? That's pretty cool. Something to actually note though, that like it does have a cast time, and I'm not saying that just because I saw the stats, but because I realize that's something important for you to know. Because if you, short as it is, if you throw it out the wrong time and you just so happen to die in like a span of 0.2 seconds, which can happen, the Nano won't go out and you won't be refunded either.
No, yes, it's happened. Witnessed it.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why we're gonna be.
Feeling.
Yes, it is very painful. We've all been there.
Yeah.
30% damage reduction, 30% damage resistance. Yeah, I think it was, because I think 50% was only in like the first time Ana was released. They reduced that, didn't they? Like 50% of that is quite a lot. But anyway, back to Ana and you. So your team is deciding to run 2 shields, a flying hero that people don't really know how to play yet, and you are involved in this. Oh, but you're on Baptiste now. So do you want me to cover a little bit more about Ana, or do you want to just roll with this for a minute?
Yeah, I was meant to mention that at the start. If you have anything else that you feel like you should cover on Ana, I wouldn't mind, because I do play Ana more than Bap. But this, I wouldn't mind you having a look at this, because this is when shit gets crazy.
Awesome. Okay.
And I was just, at the end of it, I was like, okay, I know I'm on Bap, I'm not on Ana, and Ana's the focus. But I just wanted your opinion on what
Bap does.
Yeah. Okay, you'll see later on, we do really well up until a point, and then it just goes absolutely nowhere. And then just in the back of my head, I was like, could I have done something that would have actually turned the game around a little bit?
Right.
Or was it? Yeah, I don't know. I was just curious to see what you thought.
No, that's totally fair. So like, little something you might not know is that anything you learn about Ana can be applied to Bap and vice versa, like way more than the other support heroes. Okay.
Gotcha.
In fact, it's really common that even like ML7 professional Ana player, when one's not available and he still wants to fill a similar role, sometimes even though they don't, he can just play Bap and the skills will just transfer. Okay. So what skills transfer? So we talked about line of sight and how like you get value as long as you position yourself in a way that you can see your team and the opponent at the same time. Obviously, we include being safe as well, so we're not going to stand in the center. But how they do their jobs are quite different. So we talked about Ana's nade, and essentially the nade is so good that there were metas run around Ana nade, entire metas. There was a point in which, in fact, it was an actual strategy for an Ana to like nade her entire team, and the soldier drops a biofield, and you have like the most budget transcendence in the world. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
It was terrible, but it was enough at that time. And also like being able to cancel transcendence was part of that, which you did not know until now. So imagine there's a grav, a bunch of people caught in it, and then the Zen uses trance. Yeah. But if you throw nade in that, the Zen's useless. The trance is useless because they can't heal. So you can kill everything in that grav, even though the Zen's using transcendence.
Right. Yes.
So Ana is like a double-edged sword. She can turn fights. Yeah? It's almost like more towards the offense. Bap is a bit different. Okay? Because Bap wants fights to extend as long as possible for two reasons. One, he has an amazing primary fire that does crazy amounts of damage. It breaks shields. Yeah? And his invul means that fights will last longer than they should, because it's also kind of like a mini transcendence in the form of a Pixar lamp. And that when he uses his ult, it's kind of interesting because it can also be used solo to turn fights. And it works very well with Bap, so I liked this pick. And I'm not sure whether you made this on your own or whether because they asked you to play Bap, but it's either way a great pick.
No, I just saw the Bastion, to be honest. And
that's fair.
Okay, Mercy Bap to assist with the Bastion.
Sure, that's good. You made that connection. That's great. And okay. So there's good and can be a little better in this, right? So the good was, technically, we filled criteria, right? Which is, can you see your team? Yes. Can you see your opponent? Yes, right? Because they were sort of funneling themselves into your bastion, right? But in terms of being safe, knowing that there's a Doomfist.
Doomfist,
right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I obviously, I think I was a bit too pushed up because obviously with Bap you can stand back and sort of projectile heal.
Yes.
And I think maybe I could have been on high ground too, but I've done that before and Doomfist has just flown over to me.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Literally a crackhead.
Yeah.
So he...
Fair enough.
Yeah. So... I don't know, I feel like maybe I probably wouldn't have actually taken high ground, maybe because I'm not as confident with him just yet to deal with that. So probably I would have maybe stood back a little bit further and healed from further away. Okay.
So your point about playing high ground, for the record, you're completely right. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with that, and playing against high ground into that would have been terrible. So there's nothing, it's not a matter of experience. Okay? Okay. So you could bait, but once again, that's just risky as all heck. So the point is, the distance, that's one way. But another way is, since this fight broke out the way it did, you can maintain this distance, and we use like the clock rule, which is what I like to use all the time. When there's a spot that you think is kind of good, but you want to improve it, we use the clock rule. We're going to draw a clock. Okay, so like this is, let's assume that you're at a safe distance. Let's assume that. And we want to try other places. So we're going to move around the clock. And this is one example of a place you could try. And move around the clock here. There's another example that you could try. Here, it could be dangerous because technically a Doom could drop and punch and reverse. But it's not that simple for them to figure out because they have to see you first, right?
Correct, yeah.
Another way is that if we played from here, not only would you have the option of hard cover, but also you'd be able to heal and you'd also get a better angle to shoot at people because they were playing up here for a minute. Okay, so your distance was right, and you're right. If you backed up a little bit more, that would have been great. We use this rule whenever we can, and then that way you'll like towards the center is always the objective, right? And that way you'll be able to figure out creatively a couple of times going, wait, where else could I try going? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Just some options for you.
Okay, no, yeah, that makes sense.
Overall, playing towards like the cover, this is good. Not a lot going on for a minute, and you're gonna start firing. Yeah, they don't even contest.
Nah.
Which is cool. Okay.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
Okay, okay. I'll you know what? I trust you on that. I shall let it play out as is, and we'll see what happens. A little bit more hopping, trying to get value. I like that. I want to see more of that. But now, oh dear. Oh, I see the problem already. They get pulled, it dropped. Okay, you back up
so
even.
In my head, I'm just like, oh my god, Bastion, Bastion, Bastion.
Right.
Yeah. See, I thought there Bastion was going to come back. He was going to boop and go behind, like back. That's why I dropped the lamp behind the cart. But he actually kind of booped off, and then he moved up a bit and then went stationary for a bit. So my lamp was I don't know if you'd call it semi-pointless. Oh, I get destroyed here.
Ooh, this is very tough. I hope you use your ultimate.
Look at that. I didn't even see him and I died.
That is totally fair. Okay, so we're gonna look at that fight again, but we're gonna look at it from a different perspective. Like quite literally, okay? And I would like you to talk to me about overall movement, because that's kind of important here. Just Doom things? Yeah, like Doom has that habit in which everything just looks close to impossible when played by the right person. But one of the tough things... Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish.
Oh, I was just about to say, after watching that just then, I think I almost feel like I know where I could have been.
Really? Why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah, I could, again, I could be wrong, but...
No, that's the point.
Just how it played out, where I could have, and I just really didn't even have to move that far. And I didn't. I mean, still didn't do it.
You've answered everything right so far. I don't see why you should be doubting yourself. Give it a go.
Yeah. As in, I'm talking even after that part. So then we've all sort of squished up like sardines in that little area.
Right.
I feel like, okay, I don't know if we kind of got forced into there. I kind of ran over there because that's where I felt safe. But I don't know why I didn't just... So we move into there. So like, yeah. So see how I'm in there now? And then we got squished in. Why didn't I move more to my right, like inside,
to end up about here?
Yeah. But even not that far back, like see where all the writing on the wall is, the white writing. Yep. But behind there. Okay. And so when they've squished back, I could have been more down there, down the hallway a bit. So then I'm standing there healing, and Doomfist wouldn't have got me. Yeah. And then I could have still been healing Bastion there.
There you go. Good stuff. You're already applying it. So I gave you an idea of like about what, 10 minutes ago, and you're already applying it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Once again, so this is about effective range, right? Like you don't need to be that close. If you feel that because of that panic, you forgot your main job, but now you know, right?
Yeah.
So that first bit, I want to talk a little bit about the Bastion part though, because that's kind of important that you do learn that. So like when Bastion is played, and it's very common for it to be played on Junkertown, right? That's because what sucks about Bastion is that he can't walk when he's in turret mode, right? The cart lets him cheat on that. Yeah? So it's why no matter what happens, unless this guy is actually a terrible player or one that's really smart and baiting for this strat, I'll talk about that another time, he is going to always force himself on this cart no matter what happens, period. Because once he is off it, and if he gets killed doing it, it is actually genuinely more viable for him to literally swap off the hero and play someone entirely. But the main advantage of having Bastion in Junkertown is being able to put his bum, sit down, and not have to do anything else for the rest of the game other than click on people. Yeah? So that's why generally you're not going to find him getting off the cart. Alright, so back onto you. And like that bit of positioning that we talked about. I'm wondering whether it's worth me chatting a little bit about Baptiste tech for a minute. Because I think it's really important for you to establish that initial positioning and distance thing, which you now understand because you just demonstrated it to me. You didn't even need to play a game for you to realize that, which is great. Another thing to realize is your hopping. Yeah?
Yeah.
What can I say about this? So, first of all, hopping to dodge stuff, it's not that good, right? Because on a normal basis, if you ever played against a Widow, you would probably know that jumping makes it the easiest thing in the world for a Widow to hit.
Yeah.
So now you're doing this with sort of a longer jump. That's probably not the best use of it. You can use it in the middle of fights, and not to say that it's impossible to dodge with it, because especially since they have a Doomfist, if you had it prepped, you can jump over it and that sort of thing. But you can be really fancy with it, because you can do what other heroes wish they could do, which is like the dive heroes or like Hanzo, yeah? So imagine if, like, in between bits of the fight, not right now, because there's a Bob, but if you could end up in this top doorway, right? And not only would you be able to scout, maybe even take a duel, because you have, remember, you have your lamp, right? And the lamp is great because it lets you stay in places that you shouldn't be in and win out fights that you can't do anything about it, right? You can also get vision, so you'll be less frightened by things that drop out of the sky because you would have seen them in advance. You also still can heal your team, and once again, remember we talked about forcing your opponent to choose?
Yes.
Because you're in a different position. That's really important. So why does that force people to choose as well? Is because you end up with a feature that we'll talk about another time as you get better as well, which is called map control. We're playing Monopoly here whenever we stand in a place. So the more pieces we have on the Monopoly board, the more we're going to win overall, as long as we don't lose those pieces. You see? And that's kind of why it's important for players to get more confident and take more space as they can, realistically, rather than just play as a bunch only all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of why you see, like, why people get confused when they watch pro players on streams, because they're like, dude, I would never go there because I would die. And but that's because they've learned to measure risk.
Gotcha. Yeah. Makes sense.
Gonna quickly check Discord because I want to double check when we started. Make sure I get... Okay, so about 4:30ish. So we have about 10 minutes-ish left. So if that's the case, is there a part of this that you'd like me to jump to so that you get your questions answered?
It's actually, so you know where you cap, so where you move the cart to the next point, it happens around there.
Okay, so we'll probably be about maybe here?
Yeah, about there, I'd say.
Okay, let's just go there and make sure we get to that part.
So we managed to push it there. We managed to cap. And then...
Thank you so much for the sub, Smiley. And Bastion wants to play the point-and-click adventure. That is usually the case, yes. Back to you, Brooke. Managed to cap, you say?
Yeah, so... And then it just... Literally nothing happens after that.
Ah, okay. So, about what I talked about earlier on Bastion, right? And being a smart player playing Bastion. So,
this is what I want to know what went wrong.
Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to talk about it from a strategy side, and then I'm going to talk about what you can do individually. Okay? This is the good part because you got to scold Masters players here. Okay? So we talked about what makes Bastion good on payload maps, because Bastion can't move very much. That is bad because that means actually seizing map control is difficult, right? You need to move and shoot at the same time. That's the reality. Because if you don't, you plop yourself down, your opponent chooses when they play into you, and you lose out in the long run unless your opponent is an idiot or you manage to take space. Now, so there are two extremely silly fellows here. Okay, first of all, like strategically, right? It can work out, but strategically. Bastion is one, and Echo is another. Okay? Because Echo gains a huge amount of value when she is in a skirmish, but the problem with her, despite how amazing and people think she's OP and all that, is that taking space she sucks at, because she's just a frail butterfly. And going into this rough and tumble area, she's gonna die, right? She can't make that space on her own. Bastion can't move. He's thick, he's fat, he's lazy, okay? So, you guys are strategically at a disadvantage, and let's see what you do, okay? And what you could possibly do to help this interesting fellow. Okay.
One too close, I already know that.
Yep, that is one. And unfortunately, this ultimate doesn't go the way you want.
Yeah.
Does get a kill though. And here's the thing, right? Like, this is also part 2. And this is once again not your fault. Okay, so like Bastion's ultimate, right? It is the most worst thing you can do when you're trying to break a shield. Because it sucks at breaking shield. Why? Because Bastion does more damage overall when he is holding down M1 in turret mode compared to using his ultimate. So if he's trying to take space here, he kind of can. But if the shield's in the way, it's not going to mean much. So let's see what he does. Maybe he goes past it and instead of staying still in the same corner and dies terribly. Well, apparently he forgot to do that. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So we see how we also talked about how we don't take advice from randoms, right? This includes regardless of what rank they are. Okay?
Yeah. And see, I think I was overextending like a maniac. Because probably in my head, for whatever reason, I knew he was going to ult. I could see he had ult. So I knew he was thinking it was his time to shine at some point. So all I had in my head, heal bot me, is just keep him alive, and he might be able to actually do something with that.
Okay.
So I think then that led me to overextend, whereas for whether I could probably have kind of just kept him alive as much as I could have without overextending as well. But I think that was my thought process in the moment,
Fair.
I guess.
Okay, so like first things first, you didn't overextend, right?
Oh,
because
okay.
You didn't, because he's dead and you're not.
Okay.
Right? So you didn't actually overextend. That's the first thing. The second thing is, can you have optimized that? Yes, because you sort of did peek out when they were coalescing and you would drop down to like 25 health. But that's like line of sight. There's no way you would have not learned that yet. We never got to that part of a lesson. So that's tough, right? But yeah, you're the one who ended up surviving. You did not overextend. It is sort of important though, like what is good about your hero is important because people expect something special to come out of it that's unique to it, right? So for Ana, it's her nade and nano. For Baptiste, yes, his ult and his lamp is one of them, but it's also because he breaks shields like crazy. At any point in time that you're not doing shields, I'm gonna say the same thing that all supports are surprised at me for saying. You need to do more DPS. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to be shooting at the shield as Bap because it is an incredible shield breaking tool. And these people are, in reality, mostly full health, once again, right?
Yeah.
This is a great lamp. This is an amazing lamp.
I tried to hide it, I hid it so that they couldn't
Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, it broke anyway. That was a good shield. That was a good shield by the Sigma.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick pro tip. Right? When you use the wall like this, because this is actually a good wall, right? Don't heal right here. I want you to throw it slightly ahead of this wall. You know why?
Oh, because it heals more?
Exactly, similar to nade, right? So it would still go through and it will double the healing onto your team. Yeah. So that's pretty good. But in terms of this angle, I'd like do this more. This is great, right? Because this literally forced what ends up happening. And even if you just did it subconsciously, this forces the entire enemy line, right? This straight line. Look at all this space, right?
Yeah,
you bought this. You bought this on a Monopoly board. They can't own it. If they want to come in, they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
This is a great wall.
As soon as you see a wall, it's just like, do not peek it. Like, you're an idiot if you peek it kind of thing. So that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it's great.
Down that they just wouldn't want to stare at it pretty much.
Good stuff, totally fair. Ghostly, this is a competitive game in which Brooke finds herself surrounded by a fair amount of Masters players, and she is new to LOS support. She's doing fairly well. Okay, so now we talked about high ground and that sort of thing, right? And why it's somewhat important. So you shooting at the shield is like good. That's okay, right? But in general, like I said before, even up until DPS and Masters, anything that makes you get to your ultimate as fast as possible and lets you cycle using that again and again and again, which I refer to as generally impact, is going to get you off way further than it should, because ranked is ranked, yeah? So shooting at the shield, yes, this is kind of important because that's sort of what your team is doing, but when you have nothing else to do, getting up on this high ground, and I know that there's a very scary Doomfist there, but whenever he's off, and even the choosing options that I mentioned earlier, you shoot getting up here does result in you being able to create an off angle. So instead of nade, you're going to be using your M1, you can shoot into your opponent. Even if you don't get kills, just imagine shooting into Virasa and forcing out 4 to 5. You know? Okay. And it's a really big hitbox, isn't it? That's nothing for you. So you can get a lot of that, and your ult would come back again. So that wall would come. And you do that again and again and again. The opponent doesn't have anything to stop you. Okay. You may not have known that, but if you hop way too high, you're actually out of your lamp range.
Lamp range,
yeah. Even though they it looked like they broke it anyway. That's something to keep your nerves down with, because it was a tough game.
Yeah.
Okay, finally he got off Bastion. Good, because that was a terrible decision he made. Hanzo and Echo at the same time in an enclosed space. The Echo must be very technical. Okay. Yeah, just doing heals in between. Okay. So, like, you're telling me, and then from the start of his VOD, you've lost a little bit of confidence, which should be the other way around. You're prioritizing heals a lot again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Remember, we only want to prevent death. If they die, that's more of their fault than you, in reality, most of the time.
Yeah.
That's an okay lamp. I get it was more of a panic.
Yeah. Like the damage, Sakisa, I was just like,
it's insane, right? Yeah. So like this is great. I would much prefer you like forcing the heals out like this when the fights break out like this. Like realize that this is a huge amount of damage. You're doing great, yeah. Rather than the first bit. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I swear I just clicked play and nothing else, but it has been glitching out a few times today. So let's give it a minute. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. You can probably start on the endpoints for your next lesson. Brooke's scared of being flamed. Okay, this is my advice. My advice for everyone generally being scared of being flamed, okay?
Yeah.
Here's real talk, real talk. You're gonna be flamed all the time. You'll be flamed when you're an Overwatch League player. Overwatch League players get flamed. That's the reality. Yeah. Look at Tavik, he gets crap all the time. Look at people who are good, people who are nice, people who are mean, they're always gonna get flamed. The best thing you can do is be you, trust in yourself, get the SR, and don't see those people again. You'll find new cool people, and you'll find new people that are mean. That's just like life. But listening to those people and doing what they say means that you'll stick with them forever, and that's not what you want. Period.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Okay, so I think Overwatch has decided that we've gave it a little bit too much 5-head today, and it wants to take a break. So let's use this as a blackboard. Let's use it as a blackboard. So
yeah.
On the topic of things for you to work on. Okay, so this is completely new support type, like completely, right? And you did really well from what you knew, honestly. Okay, so we now learned about we're talking about line of sight now, yeah, and I apply this very differently for the other players. So for you, you're going to be following the clock rule more.
Okay.
Because the clock rule lets you sort of make guesses of which could be better, because your idea of distance is actually good, but you only didn't do them because you panicked. That's the only reason. You inherently know the answers, which is great. Okay?
Yeah.
So the clock rule is one, and specific to Ana, like we learned a bit about why Ana is good, which is her nade and her sleep. And by using LOS in a combination with a little bit of generic high ground, but not too much, you'll realize that standing directly behind the general core won't give you those angles to get sleep and nade. Okay? That's why Ana is good. Okay. And the reason why this is a priority is because to play any LOS hero, surprisingly enough, you need to learn this first. The other part in between, we talked about... We did talk about your abilities, but is that high up in the priority? You didn't actually hard scope that much, which was good. It's a good start. We want to pull you away from healing only. and
Yeah.
like we're gonna get you away from the PTSD that is ranked, because ranked people just scream at people. We want to get rid of this. Like, you should be way more confident than this, honestly. Like, this improvement in this VOD from the last one. I don't see a problem. And you have the rank to prove it. You jumped like a decent amount of SR, didn't you? So be happy with that. Yeah. Be more proud of yourself. And finally, in between, because we did the Ana, we did the Nade, we did the sleeps, we covered LOS, clock rule, how to get sleeps and Nade sleeps on targets by shooting the feet hitbox, and nano. That's the thing. Okay, so alt usage for both, right? So I didn't really see amazing use of nano in that game, and nano is primarily one of the best things about Ana, right? So I would like, over the next part, we want to see some better use of nano, and what's a better nano? We're going to see it used to sustain. Okay. So like, rather than to start a fight, unless it's like a planned thing like Dragon Blade, I'm not going to fault you for that, because that ends up usually with results. And another thing is that, like, if it's used, it can be for someone actually to get ult faster. Okay? So what happens is that, like, let's say your Zarya is like 80% to ult, 80% to getting grab, and the fight is like mixed, yeah? By throwing the nano onto the Zarya, because she gets more damage output, she could get that grab just in time. You know? Just in time to change the fight. We did talk about sleeps and Bap. We talked about Bap wall. So that's going to be more about impact, but that links more back into, you know, number 2. So we're going to stop listening to randoms for life advice or Overwatch advice. Yeah? Remember, like, at the end of the day, trust yourself, and you will get the answers. Good stuff.
Yay.
Hi, yeah, I'm just finishing last lesson. That was just my folks wondering whether I'm gonna eat as usual.
Naughty.
Yeah, no, I've been eating on the right times, like, genuinely. So that's a good thing.
Good.
Thank you so much for the follow, Dorian B. Yes, it is true, you will always get flamed. That is just the natural of it. Kurt, Saki chat. It's been a long time I heard from you, Kurt. But yeah, let's jump to the other screen for the minute and finish up with Brooke. This was Brooke A, currently playing as Diamond support main. She is now diving into LOS based heroes, and she also does have a stream as well as Discord, which I have linked in the quick bio above. She also plays for Blessed Esports Academy. If anyone would like to have a look at what she does outside of just today's VOD, there you go. There's the social media.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm sure I'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good to me. That's all we have for the minute for today's VODs. Thank you for coming on today, Brooke. Pleasure working with you as always.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great one. Okay, so that's the end of the VODs, 2 VODs that were already booked. I think I'm not doing any more for today. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to just throw them at me on the Discord, which you can find out from !Discord, and hopefully the bot works and that works out great. Tomorrow, what is the schedule for tomorrow? Tomorrow we have a scrim VOD from Blessed Esports. So Brooke is in the Academy team, and they have the standard main lineup, which will be a part of tomorrow's team VOD. If anyone wants a VOD, you know where to find me. And I guess that's all I got for tonight. Oh wait, no. One more last thing. So on Sunday, we have a special guest. We have Flats Overwatch, a top 500 consistently main tank, and Reinhardt enthusiast, who we will be having a short stream asking questions with and having a small interview with on Sunday, 10 a.m. GMT +8 or noon on Sydney time. If anyone has any questions or wants to say hi to Flats, go ahead and come on for the stream. And if you can't make it on the stream itself, just leave a question on Discord. I'll be sure to throw those questions out at him. Have a good night, everyone.